everybody. Kevin Pennell, host of the People Process Progress podcast. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate your likes, sharing, subscriptions, ratings, reviews, etc. Today, it's almost the end of the week. It's April 9th. It'll be the 10th tomorrow. It'll be Friday. And I thought, what better time than near the end of the week for all of us as we go through project management, incident management, emergency management, public safety, healthcare, whatever we're doing in the midst of this crazy COVID-19 action, is that we should be gathering along the way. And I did a couple episodes ago a lessons learned from kind of some specific lessons learned I had. But in general, there's a standard. It's HSEEP. It's the Homeland Security Exercise and Evaluation Plan. And within that is an after action report / improvement plan. And that is kind of the model that you can use for exercises. But more importantly, to me, I mean, exercises are important, but more importantly to me, you can use this also to help frame out your lessons learned, your after action, again, being objective with that, right? And your improvement plan for real incidents, like maybe a weekly AARIP for your organization's COVID-19 response, communication, coordination, whatever angles you want to cover. But it's a great template to use. Chop it up and, pick the different things that it's available. If you just Google HSEEP, it'll pop up on FEMA's website. There was an update to it in 2020. There's a whole lot of resources there too. HSEEP is a bigger program. It also has to do with various exercises from discussion based to actually kind of drills where you practice one thing hands-on, or full-blown exercises, full scale rather. But this piece I think is critical now, because as we're having shortages in supplies, as we're running into staffing, as we're facing surge, as we're managing information, whether it's true or rumors, we need to be gathering this information. And right now it can be on a notepad, right? Just gather it on a notepad, put it together, but be ready to, at the end of all this, near the end of all this, get everyone together and have real talk on how to get better. And so I'm just going to walk through this after action report / improvement plan template, because really it speaks to pretty well some of the key things or key ways that you can do that. Again, this is focused on exercises, but going just from the first page, it's what's the name of it? Here's what an after action improvement plan can do. For you, it could say, week 3 COVID response after action improvement plan, just keeping it simple. The next thing you go through is an exercise overview. So for this, it could be, operational support overview. It could be logistics overview if you're doing this for your section, whatever. Just look at, and it has the name and the dates and the scope and the areas you're looking at, and you can chop all that up from the standpoint of what are we trying to evaluate this week for our section or for the whole organization. You get into kind of core capabilities, which again, it's very exercise based, because when you conduct an exercise, you're exercising towards certain capabilities, like what's the objective, what's the capability for preparedness or security or response or something like that. But you could put or focus on, we're looking at how our surge staffing is going for objective 1. We're looking at how our bed census is going. We're looking at PPE for first responders. We're looking at how well we're prioritizing strategic national stockpile assets. Whatever it is, you can just list those out there. And again, that's on page 3. You can kind of see that. The other thing is the ratings. And this is where we get into being honest with ourselves, with our organizations, with not worrying about our egos, with busting through silos. And this is the hard thing that I have seen from both facilitating after action reviews and improvement plans, or being in them, when not everyone is letting their ego go, when we're worried about politics, when we're worried about alienating folks. And I don't mean, point fingers and really make someone feel bad after a bad thing or things didn't go perfect. Just secret, nothing goes perfect, right? But just because of those other factors doesn't mean we shouldn't be honest with ourselves. Look at the news, look at your organization, look at what's happening in the world. Nobody has enough supplies. Nobody's staffed, right? There's different levels of preparedness for continuity of operations going on. There's different levels of awareness across the nation and the world for knowing how to actually have personal preparedness. There are super clear lessons learned already for everyone. So why not start with you and your organization and be as open and honest as you can? So in this page 3 of this after action improvement plan, there's some definitions on how we can rate ourselves, right? And the first one is use the letter P, and this was performed without challenges, right? So we did it. It was no challenge, not a problem. That could be, something that your organization has done or is doing this past week that you want to keep doing that's working good. Then there's an S, performed with some challenges, right? And so that means, we're still doing it, but maybe not quite as efficiently and effectively as we can. And then an M means major challenges. So performed, some challenges, major challenges, it's the letters. Major challenges means we're not doing. That's going to be an area for improvement. And this is the piece where we need to be honest with ourselves, right? Don't pretend things are going really well when they're not, because it's not going to help anybody else get better. Starting with ourselves, be honest with yourself, be comfortable speaking up to all levels of your organization, appropriately, of course, but hopefully leadership, hopefully your colleagues are all open enough. And at this point, everyone's tired, we're doing our thing, but to just have conversations and say, this isn't going well, let's figure out how we can do better. Or, that's a great idea, let's keep doing that. And that's where this needs to be. It's where we need to be focused now. And then after kind of this COVID storm has passed and we're all kind of taking a breath, we need to make sure we get together and not forget the lessons that we have. The last rating definition that's in this template is you, unable to be performed. So again, in an exercise, maybe there's some stuff you couldn't do because of the artificiality of the exercise. There's probably not a lot of things we haven't exercised at this point in COVID response, right? I mean, there's just between supply chain, safety of our people, information sharing, response. Just there's so many different things. Project management. The face of everything everyone's doing is different. Keeping your business afloat. So I wouldn't expect to see a lot of unables. I mean, there could be. Who knows about that? And then the document gets into, in like page 4, more what's the objective, what was the capability, strengths, areas for improvement, kind of 3 up, 3 down, if you will, is a great simple model. So if you're conducting this meeting, invite key, people from every level. You're going to set up a meeting, not too long, maybe half an hour, an hour. Don't have 100 people in there. It's not going to be effective. Do breakout groups with focus areas on, pertinent skill sets, pertinent divisions, and focus on, okay, for the objective of staffing up our company in this instance. Everybody, either let's gather verbally for folks that are comfortable. Tell us some things that are going well and have a scribe and have either a piece of paper or a whiteboard. If folks aren't comfortable, have printouts so they can write them down, and then ask the same questions for areas of improvement. And this areas for improvement is the piece where we need to push people. Nothing goes perfectly ever, whether it's fake, whether it's for real, nothing does. And this is the only way we're all going to get better, is by being honest with ourselves, by taking ownership ourselves, by sharing ownership, by just being very honest with our organization, with each other. It has to happen, or we're going to revisit the same mistakes we did last week and the week before, and that's going to waste time and money and all the stuff that we don't need to waste. When we get back through this, kind of the basic template, when we get to 5, there's a cool table, and it's really helpful. This is the improvement plan. So now we've gathered, all right, what's the after action report? Here's just maybe a summary of what happened this week. Here's kind of what we were working for. Okay, we've gathered, folks have said, here's some strength, and we've gathered some folks that have said, okay, here's some areas for improvement, whether it's written and we compile them or verbally we describe them. And then what are we going to do about these, right? So I've talked about this before and talked to them with Wendy, getting to the, okay, so what? So what, we have all this stuff, then what? Do we leave it in the piece of paper? Do we leave it in the typed up document and never worry about it? Because that happens also after these things. There's a big pot of money that shows up because of insert disaster or ongoing trend here. Then we buy some cool stuff, we get some training, and then we forget about it. Well, let's not do that this time, right? Let's actually make this improvement plan and let's do it. So this improvement plan is a super simple table with the headings for the capability. So you could make that, what were we trying to accomplish this week? What was the area for improvement? Because again, strengths we do want to build on so we can capture those, but we really want to improve. So what was the areas for improvement? And we're going to have lines of these, right? So we were working toward the staffing plan. Here was one area. We didn't have each position 3 people deep to be able to restaff. Okay, what's the corrective action? So what are we going to do for that? There's a thing here, capability element, that has to do with the exercisey kind of piece, but you could say, align that with your organization's goals, or what was the, something like that. Who's responsible, right? So who's the organization, the department, the person, if you want. This one, it says in the template, primary responsible organization, but if you're doing this at a smaller level, maybe have people have their position, right? Because people change, and if you want this document to be a little bit more evergreen and someone looks at it historically, it's kind of good to have director of whatever is responsible. or an organization, police, fire, etc. Who's the point of contact there? So that could be a position also. It could be, if you're going to work through this, the person's name. When are you going to start this improvement plan? When do you expect to start putting work into improving that staffing plan? And when do you want to try and complete that by, right? Are you going to be able to put together a budget or put together just the plan to staff better and move people around by a certain date? That's what we want to look at. So the improvement plan table is, what's the capability or the objective? What's the area for improvement? What's the corrective action to fix it? Who's responsible, or what department or organization is responsible? Who's the point of contact? When are you going to start doing that, and when do you want to finish it? That's a super simple thing to do. You could do that on a piece of paper. You can do it on a spreadsheet. But it's a great way to capture it. And again, the value of doing this while all this stuff is still fresh in our minds is huge, and I highly recommend it. The next page just gets into who participated in the exercise, but for an after-action improvement plan, just who was part of the team that was working on the stuff that you were trying to do the previous week or month, or however often you want to do these. But I would start getting a regular after action improvement plan cadence now and stay in it. And then you'll have a library of documents that you can just refer to when you compile the huge, I hope all of us do, after action improvement plan. Do you need to shore up your continuity operations plan? Do you need to update your emergency operations plan? What's your staffing model? What's your surge plan? What's your telework policy, right? These are all things that almost every company type I know of is going through right now. And so if you wait until we're 2 or more months down the road, if that happens, people are going to forget, or they're not going to want to participate or something. So if they know, hey, every week we're getting feedback, we're going to work on it, we're going to try and do some short-term improvements, and that's totally possible, then it's just good to start building that up now. So from, again, being part of things that were kind of a show, they weren't real efforts to make improvement, to being part of things that were really strong after action meetings and strong improvement plans, and then you see improvement, I would just like to submit to you, all the listeners, which again, I'm so thankful that you're here, that we maybe heed some of this guidance that's in this template and some of the things that I spoke of, because again, to wait to the end is going to be too long. And for all of us, for this one, this is huge. Let's learn from it. Let's get better. Let's fill these gaps in our plans, because we all know there's tons of gaps in everyone's plans right now. There's tons of communications gaps, just a lot, right? It's in every industry that you can think of. And so I thank you for listening. I wish you all the best. I hope your after action meetings go well. Navigate the politics best you can, but just try and keep an open, honest environment. Get those improvement plans working. Thank you so much for listening here. Get in touch with me at peopleprocessprogress@gmail.com if you want. I'm on LinkedIn also. We still got the COVID-19 incident management knowledge sharing going on there. And stay safe. Godspeed.